Hey, this is Marcus from Incognito, and we're here at Keystone Chiropractic, home of Dr. Jonathan Chung. We're gonna go inside and see what's going on. So I have the door. Hi everybody, this is Marcus from Incognito, and we're here today with Dr. Jonathan Chung of Keystone Chiropractic, and he's going to talk to us today about what he does at Keystone and how his technique is different from what you might be familiar with. Dr. Chung, how are you?
Good to see you, Marcus. How's it going?
Pretty good. Former neighbor, practitioner. I'm actually seeing Dr. Chung now for some things I'm dealing with. And I want you to talk about the NUCCA technique, if I'm saying it right,
Yep.
And how it differs from conventional chiropractic care.
Sure, that's a good question. So NUCCA stands for the National Upper Cervical Chiropractic Association, and it's an organization that developed a technique that focused on the alignment of the head and neck. So with NUCCA especially, the goal is to restore the normal movement of the head on top of the neck, because whatever happens to the head and neck really happens to the rest of the body. So they developed a really gentle, really precise form of adjusting that upper neck area that is very precise and very gentle. There's no popping or cracking or twisting or any movements like that. But it's very smooth, and it's a way of gently restoring the way that the head sits on top of the neck, and so that the brain can get normal circulation again, so that this 12-pound bowling ball called your head isn't distorted in one direction or the other, leading people to having premature arthritis or degeneration. And probably most important of all is the location of your head is really important for the functionality of your brain. So if your head's tilted off in the wrong direction, that means your brain perceives where it is in space and where gravity is incorrectly, which is going to have a lot of downstream consequences to that. So NUCCA is our way of correcting that spinal misalignment so that the whole body, especially the brain, can work better.
That's really interesting, and I think that many people might have a hard time believing that just adjusting or manipulating the first two vertebrae, atlas and axis, can affect their whole body. But I have to say, I do have a client that I sent to Dr. Chung years ago, and he was having some weird knee pain. And I was throwing all of my flexibility, all of my functional training, all of my massage techniques at it, and it really wasn't helping. I sent him to a local chiropractor who did more conventional things with him, and he got minimal results. But he ended up coming over to see you, and I remember after one session, the pain in his knee was reduced by about 80%, and both him and I were blown away. So how is it for you when a client comes in with a more periphery issue, and you're telling them that just working on their head and neck is going to help affect that?
Yeah, so that's a funny conversation that we have to have with clients, because when people come in, they have a misconception about what chiropractic is going to be. They think, if my back hurts, I'm going to adjust the back. If my neck hurts, I'm going to adjust the neck. But when we do things from a NUCCA perspective, we look at things very holistically. So we're looking at what areas of the body that we work on have downstream effects on other parts of the body. And especially when we talk about adjusting the head and neck, and because it has such profound effects on brain and neurological function as a whole, by correcting the head and neck and improving brain function, if you improve brain function, then you have the capacity to possibly improve any other systems that's connected to the brain, which is pretty much any organ system in the body. Now, that doesn't mean that if I fix your neck that it's going to fix that specific problem, but it is going to allow the brain to work better, and if the brain is working better, then you have a better chance of healing than if your brain was working at less than 100%. So that's kind of the direction I come from is, I'm not necessarily going to treat this symptom directly, but if I can help improve the function of the nervous system as a whole, then your body has a better chance of getting better because your nervous system is better.
That makes sense, definitely. I know that I also sent you a client who's become a longtime patient of yours, who is in her early 70s, back then, mid-60s, and she was scared of chiropractic because she had fusions in her neck from falling off horses too many times. So she couldn't go to the conventional chiropractor because she was afraid they would hurt them. And I sent her to you because I knew you had a more gentle technique. And I know now she sees you probably more often than she sees me.
Yeah, so that's probably one of the main ways that people find out about me is there are a lot of people, like chiropractic in all its shapes and forms is great. Like I have nothing bad to say about any form of chiropractic. But the reality is there's a lot of people that when they see a traditional chiropractic manipulation done, it gives them the heebie-jeebies. Like people are afraid that that chiropractic adjustment looks way too much like a Steven Seagal movie where they're breaking someone's neck.
Right.
And even though chiropractic is really safe, no matter what form of chiropractic is being done, people just have a lot of apprehension about it. So when they hear that there's a way of, adjusting the neck that is really gentle and they don't have to one of the ways that people, get adjusted is like a chiropractor will distract them for a second before they go in and try to pop their neck. It's like we take that completely out of the picture, so you could just actually sit there, be completely relaxed, and you'll feel a couple of gentle pressures against your neck, and before you know it, the adjustment's done before you even think that I did anything.
Right.
And people really find that that's pretty attractive if there's someone that thinks chiropractic is a good idea, but they're just afraid of having a specific maneuver that looks like a traditional chiropractic manipulation done on them.
Right. No, I think that's definitely a good strategy. So let's talk about you, and how did you find your way to the NUCCA technique? Or better yet, what made you pick NUCCA over conventional chiropractic?
So for me, I actually came into chiropractic through a traditional chiropractor. So I got into chiropractic because I was athletic growing up. I played baseball. I was, having a lot of nagging shoulder injuries, some neck issues, some headache issues. And one of my best friends in college was going to be a chiropractor. His dad was a chiropractor, and he ended up just taking care of us because we played baseball together, and he helped me with my neck and shoulder issues, which was awesome. So I was like, oh, I could do this chiropractic thing. This looks like a cool way to practice healthcare. So I got into chiropractic school and I was doing traditional chiropractic and it was fine, but I remember hitting a point where I just didn't really just want to work with people with bad backs and bad necks and bad joints. I really wanted to help people that had complex issues that weren't really being resolved by other forms of medicine. And I heard a speaker who was doing NUCCA and he was talking about some really sounded like miraculous cases during his talk. So I decided to shadow him in practice. And when I went into his office, I remember seeing a patient that walked in and their main complaint was tremors from Parkinson's disease. And I remember he took the x-rays, put them on the table, and he did the first adjustment. And right after he got up from the table, you could see that the tremors were visibly much less than when they were before they got adjusted. And that just blew me away that you could address someone with this complex neurological disease and you could see an outcome so quickly. And I spent the rest of the day with them, and he was seeing patients with multiple sclerosis who were better able to walk, and he was seeing people with fibromyalgia who had suffered for decades of chronic pain, and they were starting to feel better. So through that experience, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to help people that weren't really getting the answers they were looking for from conventional sources.
Wow, that's pretty profound.
Yeah.
And, the passion shows, with how you speak about it. And I know you now for about 10 years, and I know the quality of work you do. And now, being a patient, I was just recently examined by Dr. Chung. I can see the expertise that comes along with what you're doing. That's amazing. So in this day and age, everyone thinks they can go on WebMD or Google and find their diagnoses. How do you combat that when a patient comes in and they're saying, I have this issue, I have that issue, and help them to see the whole picture?
One of my favorite ways to kind of break that bridge is there's a lot of memes on the internet nowadays. And one of the most popular memes that they'll see is someone will Google their symptoms on WebMD or something like that. And no matter what the symptom is, the end result is you're dying. And when people see that and they're like, oh, I get it. I'm not good at researching my own conditions because the internet isn't suited for people to experience the nuance of what it's really like to experience having different diseases or conditions. Doctors go to medical school for over a decade in order to get this type of knowledge. Chiropractors, we spent 8 years in between undergraduate and postgraduate education. And we also have lots of experience just seeing patients. And what they describe as a specific condition in the textbook is not really necessarily what someone looks like in real life when they're actually coming into your office. People have different backgrounds, they have different life experiences, they have different pain tolerances that are going to be unique to them that makes their expression of that condition, whether it's a headache, whether it's a traumatic brain injury, whether it's stroke, whether it's Parkinson's disease, they all have their individual expression of that disease or illness. And it's important that we separate the label of that condition versus what their goals are in terms of what they want to accomplish in their life. So someone with lower back pain, yes, they want their back pain to go away, but in reality, they're coming to see me because they can't pick up their grandkid who weighs 30 pounds, and they want to be able to pick up their kids again. The patient with vertigo or dizziness, like the symptom is bad, but what's really getting them down is they don't feel like that they could turn their head without feeling like they're unstable or unsafe. And our job isn't necessarily to cure their condition. Our job is to make sure that they could do the things that they want to do again without fear of consequences. And when we separate that condition from what they actually want, which is I want to be able to live my life normally again, then we can have a better conversation about what we really need to do. And then all of a sudden, Google, WebMD, it doesn't matter. What they want is I want to achieve this in my life, and this condition is holding me back. How do you get me back to doing what I want to do in my life?
That's amazing, yeah. Really working towards the end goal, peeling back the layers to get to what they really need.
Correct.
That's amazing.